Have yours. Today we have Spandana, the Strategy and Operations Manager at Uber. Welcome to DOL channel, Degree of Labor, KTP series, Know the Profession. Hi Spandana.
Hello.
Thanks a lot for your valuable time with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Can we have a quick introduction of yours?
Sure. So I was born and brought up in Visakhapatnam. I did all my schooling there. Post that, I have done my engineering from NITT,
Nice.
Instrumentation and Control Engineering. Post that, I've worked as a development engineer in RPS for 2 years. Then I went on to do my MBA from IIMK, and I've joined Uber right out of campus at IIMK. Been almost 2.5 years at Uber.
Okay, that's great. Can you let us know the recruitment process that happened with Uber?
Sure. So I was recruited through campus. Uber came to my campus for internship hiring.
Okay.
And then post that we got a PPO and that led to a full-time offer. But so we had, I think, 4 rounds total.
Okay.
First round was a GD round where around 10 people were in the GD and very generic topics.
Okay.
And then I had an interview for an hour.
Okay.
And then another interview for an hour, and then a final interview for an hour and a half. It was a pretty lengthy process for a campus recruitment internship. Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to you being a instrumentation control engineer, and then you worked in a bank, then you took IIM as your next step in your career, and you ended up in strategy and operations.
Yeah.
So can we say that you have made this choice, or is it by chance?
So I would say the first two were by chance.
Okay.
I had no involvement in like either IC or RBS, to be honest.
Okay.
But MBA was a choice.
Okay.
And Kozhikode was a chance. But MBA was a choice.
Okay.
And Uber, I think, was a chance which I'm very grateful for. Like, I love what I did there. It was amazing.
Okay. So moving to the next, like as you said, you are already grateful about the work that you are doing. So can you let us know what exactly the profession strategy and operations manager do?
Sure. So again, strategy and operations is a very vague term used across roles. What I would say, operations, there's just one sentence that describes it. You do anything and everything.
Correct.
For a day-to-day running of the company. And strategy is more like thinking long-term. So where we want to be 1 year from now, or thinking all long-term plans come under your strategy. And ops is, there's no particular definition. Anything day-to-day comes under operations. So at Uber, I've actually been in 2 roles. So the first one was, I would say, like a pure ops role, where I was. Do you want me to go into length of what I was doing?
Like just a brief, so that we understand the gist of your day in day out.
Got it. So first was like a managerial role where I had a team. I was managing Kerala for Uber.
Okay.
So that went into day to day, like how many drivers should be on the platform, recruiting new drivers onto the platform, and also if anything happens in the cities that I'm managing, you have to actively take care of it, all of that. And the second role I would say was more of a strategy inclined role where we were looking at, so I was managing the auto category. So we were looking at where do you see this category go in the next 3 years, where do you see in the next 1 month. So it's a much long term thinking.
More of growth strategy.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you, so there'd be like crazy targets. So how do you get there and how do you make those crazy targets?
Yeah, agree.
So that was it.
So it was a roller coaster ride, I would say.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So when you say about all these day in day out, so how many hours that your day goes in your professional career?
So since I think this is very specific to Uber, since Uber is a 24/7 on company and anything can go wrong at any point of time. There are usual days are I would say not very very stressful or like 12-hour, 14-hour days. It is pretty. Normally I start work at like 10 a.m. and finish by 7 p.m. on a regular day.
Okay.
But there are days when something goes wrong and because you don't fix it, you're losing money by the second.
Exactly.
It's always on. So whenever something goes wrong or when you're getting in a planning cycle, that's when days get much longer. But usually it is stressful shorter days.
Okay, stressful shorter days. That was a sweet thing. When you hear that from a corporate, that is really great. Okay. So when you say that you have planning cycle and you manage operations and strategy. So according to you, what are those prime mandatory skill set for this profession? Like a person, he or she should have this.
Good. So I think I'll make the 2-part thing for ops and then strategy. For ops, you need to be really good at stakeholder management because day in day out you're talking to at least like 30-40 folks who are not part of your team.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of coordination happening. You have to get stuff from a lot of people. You need to like pass on info, get a lot of things done. So I think primary would be your stakeholder management, and second is communication. So how, what, and you're communicating what you need. Yeah, exactly. So how you're getting things done. That is like just GTD. That's the part for ops. And for strategy, I would say more logical thinking, and then because there are a lot of assumptions that go into making a plan. So what kind of assumption you're making makes or breaks your plan. So that is one, definitely. And also you should be on top of what's happening. You should be on top of, at least for Uber, I would say, like, you should be on top of your numbers. You
Okay.
need to know everything that's happening in category. So if you need to predict what's going to happen, or any point of time you need to know what's happening, like, you should be on top of everything that's happening currently.
With your
whatever portfolio.
competitors across
Yeah.
markets.
So
everywhere.
entire, you need to know about the industry, you need to know about competitors. It's a very vast environment. So I
Yeah.
think being on top of that is also equally important to, try to understand where this is going to go in the next couple of
Okay.
years or months.
So as you said, stakeholder management,
Yeah.
is it like both internal and external? Like you happen to have conversations with very strange people when you onboard new drivers?
So I used to meet drivers day in, day out.
Okay.
And so I was managing around 3 states, so multiple languages as well. And driver speak is very different, so it's
Yeah.
not corporate speak.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
So but in my first role, right, when I was managing Kerala, day in, day out, it was drivers, so internal and external stakeholders.
Okay.
There was a lot of driver interaction. We used to talk to like policy holders and the labor department, the
Yeah.
transport department, and unions, driver unions.
Okay.
So there's a lot of external stakeholder management as well. In the second role, I would say it was more internal, like 90% internal. There's still, if you're building a product for the drivers, it's
Okay.
obvious that you're gonna interact with them at some point of time in
Agreed.
some capacity.
Yeah.
So mostly internal, but definitely some, depending on your role, there's external as well.
Like you need both.
Definitely.
When you're entitled with strategy and operations.
Operations, I would say external a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Strategy more internal.
Yeah. So okay. So like as you said, you're a campus hire. Like,
Yes.
what will be the range of salary for this role?
So I would say, like, so when I compare to like my peer batchmate, I would say it's above average. It's a good salary. So there's a good ESOP component in my structure as well. So when you look at the fixed, it might not be like out there like the top 10%, but overall they get you there. And Uber has been doing especially good in the last 2 years. So I'm very thankful they gave me that particular ESOP component. Very thankful for that.
Okay.
So since the sales price blew up over the last couple of months,
Yeah.
that's been good.
That's great.
I think overall it's a very great value add, the amenities that they provide, and everything. It's a
So
great
is it like more of work from office or work? It's a hybrid culture.
So right now it's hybrid.
Okay.
So there's a mandate of working 50% of the time from office.
Okay.
But it's pretty chill, to be honest. Like no one's gonna
Like,
hold it
no
against
one-
you. And,
It's not a mandate that Spandana, you have to come 5 days in the office.
Not 5 days, so 50% of the time.
50%.
There is mandate, but it is still very employee friendly.
Okay, that's great. And when you really see this role,
Yeah.
and when you happen to forecast about this role in 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
like, do you see any automations, or do you think this role will exist, or how do you think it will evolve?
Got it. I think there'll definitely be a lot of automation coming in for sure, because a lot of the day-to-day stuff that we do, it will get automated. But I still think there's a core role, like especially for a company like Uber, you can never lose that human touch. So when you're talking to customer service and a bot replies, it pisses you off.
Yeah.
So and drivers, you cannot do that to drivers.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
some level of human connect is always going to stay, especially for this kind of a role. But definitely, the more you automate, the more seamless everything is going to be, the more lesser errors you're going to have. So it's better to do that, but I don't see it completely going away that there's no human involvement at all. So it is to stay.
Like, it's like we need more amount of S&O managers to build those automations in places that they don't go.
Yeah, so I would love certain parts of my job to be automated for sure, but I don't think you can take away the role completely.
Yeah.
So I'm not losing my job to AI,
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, true that.
Hopefully.
We never know if more innovation.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So, like, as you're currently working from past 2.5 years,
Yes.
like, what are your aspirations, in 5 to 10 years down the line?
Got it. So it's one, right? Climb the corporate ladder. It's always the higher you get, the more info, the more, I would say, what I am looking forward to is being in a position with responsibility of the category, or making that say, like, this is what we're going to do,
Like
taking that call.
Decision.
Yeah, exactly. Decision making part.
Yeah.
And also, I think that is something you look forward to. And I'm looking forward to like building a team, building the category, owning something, the responsibility, and the impact that you can create. The higher up you go, the more impact you can create.
Yeah, great.
So that is what.
So when you say about impact, okay, as a strategy and operations manager, what is the top 3 key metrics that you all the time track in your day in, day out?
So I can tell specifically for my job. So I was a auto category manager per se. My main KPI was tracking for the auto category. Let's say someone's opening the app.
Okay.
How many people are finishing a ride on auto?
Okay.
By the number of people opening in the app.
Okay.
So basically, number of
like
people, you need to convert
open,
the funnel, right?
The funnel.
Customer journey.
Yeah.
How much can you convert from this customer journey into your category's completed trip? So that's the funnel improvement.
It's like a competition within. There might be a category.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of internal cannibalization happening, different
Agreed.
products.
We don't go into nepotism.
Yeah.
Great, but then
But yeah,
okay.
so other categories look at their funnels.
Yeah,
I
true that.
look at my
Okay.
funnel. That's the main criteria.
That's the key, or
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
growth of
Lot
the
of inputs go into the funnel. Like at
Mhm.
different points of time of journey, lot of inputs go in. So you take care of everything, but ultimately improving that funnel is the job.
Okay. So do you really feel like, you know, work-life balance is there in Uber strategy operations?
I think so. Yeah, there are some tough days, but
Yeah,
there
like
are a lot of good days as well.
okay.
Yeah.
So at an overall pace, like how do you feel like, you know, the culture of strategy and operations community going forward?
Oh, I think there's a lot of rigor.
Mhm.
Everything is very fast. Everything is like do it now, now, now. There's
Get
no
things
like
done.
do it tomorrow, do it later.
Mhm.
Everything is do it now.
Mhm.
But I think once it's tough to get used to, but once you get used to it, you don't feel like you're running. So you
Okay.
get used to it. So
Like
this you're constantly trying to improve things. There's something happen constantly. It's very fast moving.
Mhm.
Especially I would say in a company like Uber, if you're not, if let's say a competitor is coming out with something you're not, you're losing
yeah,
immediately.
yeah,
So it's a very fast paced culture, and that boils down to your work as well. So
yeah,
it is very fast paced. You will get used to it.
yeah.
It's not that
It's
tough.
it's similar kind of how you had done your MBA, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just
yeah.
to summarize, like you know, you never want to
There's
miss an
always
hour.
some deadline there. Yeah, you
Correct.
finish with that deadline, three,
Yeah,
4 minutes more
yeah. You'll
waiting.
get something more, something more.
Yeah, yeah.
It is
There's
never
always
ending.
something to do.
Yeah,
Yes,
agreed. Okay.
it's very fast paced.
So usually strategy and operations managers lifestyle is like, are you placed into a metro city, or is it like, you know, tier twos as well,
Uh,
or
so
basically working from headquarters?
operations, I would say, is more on ground.
Mhm.
So let's say when I was managing Kerala, I had to like fly down there to take care
Okay.
of stuff on ground.
Mhm.
Or you have a team on ground. So operations is more on ground work. Let's say even if you take any kind of industry, I think it's more hands on work. So
Okay.
you need to be in the location where you're working.
Mhm.
But strategy, I feel, is more like a headquarter or metro kind of a job.
Okay.
If it's a combination of both, I think every company has their own policy of fair or not. But I think ops is more hands on.
Like more near to
Yeah,
the
near to your
workplace.
where your
You know.
work is kind of
Yeah.
work. Strategy is more like high level. You can sit somewhere else and do one.
Like what is that one craziest thing that you have experienced in this role?
Oh, lots.
Mm-hmm.
I
Anyone?
think I told you right, day in, day out, I was
Mhm.
dealing with a lot of on ground problems.
Mhm.
So something crops up out of nowhere and then it just goes crazy. So especially in the market that I was in, it did not have a good record. So I was going in after like 2 years of no one handling the market and drivers were very angry towards Uber.
Okay.
So and I was going in as a first Uber representative post COVID. So I've been warned. I went there with security. I'm not kidding.
Like you
Yeah,
were that VIP from Uber.
I had a security team with me.
Okay.
Yeah, there were but there were instances where at least in the past that I've heard of, at least with Uber employees, there were instances of violence with drivers. So it
Okay.
gets crazy, and I think 2 3 months into the job, I got a crazy call at like 2 a.m. asking me what do we do about the scenario, and I had no clue.
Okay.
So it's you get used to it after a while, but still, I think
Like in the initial stages, you feel that okay, it's
it's
something new.
very overwhelming in the beginning, but you become part of that crazy work. So
Okay, that's
that's
nice.
all.
Like on the other side, like what is the disadvantage? Like every profession has something or
Yeah.
the other. So look, what are the disadvantages that you look up in these?
I think one disadvantage is that you're always on.
Mhm.
So there's not a time, especially. I mean, if you're like you're on a PTO or something, that's fine.
Mhm.
But let's say something's happening on ground and
Mhm.
something's going wrong. It doesn't matter if it's like 5 a.m. or 11 p.m. You
Okay.
still have to get onto it and solve it, or at least delegate or identify who else can solve it.
Okay.
It's not something that I can shut down at 9 and even if a problem comes, I can't look at it. So that's not the case. I think
Yeah.
it's always on.
Okay. It's
So
like
my phone is constantly ringing, constantly buzzing. That's there.
like you
can
get to
never
know.
turn it off.
Huh.
There's never a true like, I'm done with my work day kind of a thing.
You need to have your mobile all the time
Yeah,
charged.
it's
There is
always
nothing.
there. It's
My
always on.
phone is
I
dead.
think
I'm sorry.
after a point, you do get used to it, but you feel that okay, fine, this is consuming my life. There's no differentiation.
Okay.
For me personally, I don't see a differentiation between my personal life and professional life. They got merged completely.
Uh-huh.
So I think that is a disadvantage sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you do not want to see that notification coming in, but you have to.
Like you happen to see that logo of
Oh yeah.
Uber or that.
So you
UI.
open something, you see it, and then you got to respond. You got to do it. Sometimes, most of the times, it's good.
Cool. But then like it's like you need to be all the time on your toes.
Always.
So when you say all these transitions, you know, starting from how you learn the processes, understand, you come to a point where you take a decision.
Yeah.
So what is that, you know, most creative, or you know, what motivates you to do all this day in day out? Like, you know, you already said that you need to be all the time available, right? So everything needs certain amount of motivations or
Yeah.
passions. Yeah, what is that thing for you?
Especially for Uber, I
Mhm.
think we're one of those companies where you see feedback instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say in my system, I did some analysis, I made a change in pricing, for example.
Yeah.
In the next 5 minutes, I can go see like, okay, earnings have shot up for these number of drivers.
Okay.
And you're interacting constantly with drivers and tell you how Uber has impacted them.
Okay.
Positively and negatively, but look at positively right now.
Agreed.
So you drivers tell you like, I'm owning my own vehicle now. I'm living in a rented house now. I have a place to stay.
You happen to see growth.
So the dignity of labor that you say, that I think Uber has gone to like masses. There are a lot of drivers who are proud to drive in Uber and drive on their own terms.
Yeah.
So you can just see the impact in front of your eyes. And I take an Uber day in, day out, like 3-4 times a day.
Yeah.
So we're constantly chatting up with drivers, understanding how it's impacting them. I think the impact is the one that keeps me going every day. Anyone you ask Uber and say, you can see the instant impact of whatever you do. And you're impacting millions of lives.
Yeah, like
for sure.
Destiny is the one that we search in life, and Uber is the one who reaches the destiny.
Yeah, you can see it in front of you, and there's so many good things happening because of it as well. That keeps you going.
Yeah. Then, like you have told your journey starting with engineering, and then you're here, right? Like, do you think is there any ideal way or short path to reach a profession of strategy and operations?
So one thing I would say, your MBA gets you there quickest.
Cool.
And so if you're doing an MBA from a good reputed college, that gives you credibility, find this person is capable. So I would say that will get you the foot in the door.
Okay.
How you perform is still up to you.
Okay.
But I would say it's much easier, you get that foot in the door. It has an advantage.
Okay.
But if you are like, I wasn't sure that I want to be a strategy and ops professional when I was 20 years old. But if someone really knows this is what they want to do, I would advise like right out of engineering, or even without that, go to startups. Because I feel that's where you get to learn a lot of work, you get to understand how a company is run. And in a startup, everything is an ops job.
Yeah, it's like you need to handle everything.
Exactly, you do everything, you handle everything. I feel that gives you that knowledge kind of edge as well. So what I have seen in my professional journey in Uber, and apart from that as well, so this very typical do your undergrad, do your MBA, come into a job is one stretch. And there's also a different stretch of people right out of undergrad or even without it. They come there with through experience.
Okay.
And everyone's equally capable, everyone's equally in. But again, there's different advantages. So what I feel advantage of an MBA is, so let's say you got into this file, it's very easy to pivot. So let's say tomorrow I feel like, okay, I want to try hand at finance. I still have the credentials to do it.
Yeah.
So it's easier to pivot. There are a lot of doors open for you.
Yeah.
But if you know for sure this is what I want to do, I would say getting there through work will get you places much quicker. And
like having one credible MBA will obviously have you multiple gates.
Exactly.
Agreed. Like you can switch across.
Sure.
So like when you say about working in a startup, for maybe a candidate who is currently studying his 12th grade, and then he wants to really look up for multiple businesses and all. So like you were also once upon a startup, right? So at what phase of a startup you will get highest amount of learning rather than earning?
So I've not worked for a lot of startups. So what I can
from your experience,
inference, what I would say is before corporate policies come in. Okay. So as long as once a hierarchy has been set up, once you say like, okay, you need 3 layers of approvals to get something done, I think that's where things start slowing down. That's where everything starts slowing down a bit. But as long as it's crazy fast, it's crazy things happening. And also, like, not every startup is good, right?
Correct.
Be at a place where you have that freedom to think and execute and pitch in.
Yeah.
So execution alone, like someone telling you to do something and you doing that, is not going to teach you anything. But if you're in a position where you can provide your inputs and where they're valued, I think that kind of environment, there'll be crazy amount of learning and growth.
Great. So in your journey, so what are the key things that you should not miss to make it to this role? Like either it might be during an MBA, like due to this experience I have gained so much, or during your undergrad you might have gone through certain experiences. Like what are that ones, like checklist kind of a thing that you don't want to miss?
I think it's very important to have a clarity on why you're, like, even during interviews, right? Even you might be appearing in multiple companies.
True.
You should have it very clear to why do you want this job. I feel that while I was working post undergrad, while I was in tech, I realized that's not my calling.
Okay.
I knew what kind of roles I wanted to do, so I had that firmly, very strongly done.
Okay.
And that also help you. That gets conveyed during interviews because this is what you want to do.
Okay.
I feel that again, that comes through experience.
True. Sometimes
if you don't have it in interviews, you got to fake it sometimes. But be very clear of why you need it, why you want this job. interview is a two-way street. Like company is judging you, you're judging the company as well.
Yeah.
So be very clear on what you want out of this and why you're applying here. I think randomly appearing for companies is not good. That is one thing I've realized, and over the time I've learned as well. And I would say key learnings from all of my time focus more on experiences rather than like titles, or be focused on what you're learning. So
More
I've
want
studied
to-
instrumentation,
Yeah.
which had nothing to do with my tech job. It had
Exactly.
nothing to do with my MBA.
True that.
And that had something to do with my job, but
Yeah.
there's something I learned every place. So that you take that learning from there, and then you learn, and then take that experience.
You
So
deploy it
experience is
in
important.
somewhere else.
Yeah. Might not be job experience, but any kind of experience where you're learning is really important. You understand what kind of person you are, what you want, what you find joy in doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like in your stint of 2.5 years of strategy and operations, do you happen to see any other professional people switching to this role? And is it easy to switch?
Got it. So again, I said, right, one good thing I would say about operations, at least forget strategy for a moment, is if you are good at there, you only need to, there are no hard skills required. So it can be done by anyone as long as you have like the GTD, get things done, the stakeholder management. So there are some skills that you can develop anywhere. So I feel if you have those skills, you will excel at this job. So it's not necessarily important that let's say for a finance job you need to know the fundamentals. That I would say that's open for all kind of a role. You still need to have certain basic knowledge, but it's easy to learn. So that is an advantage, I would say, that those are open for multiple kinds of professionals and streams coming in. That is one. Again, strategy, I would say, still certain number of skills that are required. You can pick it up in other fields and then get there. So that I feel it's advantage. Like it's open for a lot of more people than they think.
Yeah, like they might not be thinking this as an opportunity, but it is if you have the basic
exactly.
skill
So
sets.
there are some skills that you need to pick up, and which you can pick up not just from an MBA but through your work experience as well. So I would say
team management or those the ones that you have
how
initially
you manage
mentioned.
people, how your stakeholder management, how you communicate. So there are a lot of soft skills involved.
Yeah, correct.
So that you can pick up and still be a very good professional.
So what is that one last advice that you want to give to the viewers who are currently at an age, pre-undergrad or during their undergrad, who are aiming for, I want to become a strategy and operations guy?
Trust me, you don't know what you want yet.
Assume they have decided.
So what I would say is not specific for strategy and operations, for anything, give it a try. Practically, there are multiple companies out there, even startups, they're always looking for people. There are good companies, always hiring. So doesn't matter when you're so young, your pay doesn't matter, everything else. What you're learning in like 1-2 years, what you're learning, that more matters. So if you are not sure, even if you're very sure, just give it a try.
Okay.
So I thought like, okay, I wanted to do finance when I was studying, and then I did a job, and then I realized this is where I'm skilled at, and this is where I find joy. So before you go into the job, when you're studying, you have a lot of free time as a student.
Correct.
Try out different things. So try out strategy, try out HR, try out whatever you want to do. There's a lot of opportunities out there for you to try out. So try that out, understand how the actual job works, because everything looks different on paper and the actual execution is all Excel.
Yes.
Everything is different. So I would say there's a lot. So if you do the job, you'll have more clarity on what you want to do. You'll understand it much better. So I think that would immensely help people to avoid the confusion, getting into job and then realizing, oh, this is not what I want to do, and then trying to switch. Because once you grow older, right, in this stage of my life, I can't go and try out, oh, what is HR's job going to be?
What is the fundamentals of finance will be?
Exactly.
How do I start?
But as a student, I feel everything is open to you. That's an advantage that everyone should be definitely taking, advantage of.
Like Spandana is more into two things. One is get things done and give it a try.
Definitely give a lot of things a try.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Spandana, for your valuable time.
Thank you so much. Had a wonderful time. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe to DOL, Dignity of Labor.